Happy Thursday. Welcome back to your next video lesson with me. Hopefully you have already taken the multiplication quiz. That is a grade that's going in the grade book, so make sure you did your best work on it. Check over your answers, look back in your journal on what you've learned this week on multiplication. I want to see how well you guys did when I come back, okay? Hopefully these videos are being helpful. You're rewatching them if you need to rewatch them and all that good stuff, because today we are moving on to division. So today's lesson is going to be how to divide a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number, and we're going to be using area model today. There's lots of different strategies to divide. This is just one of the strategies, just like we did with multiplication. This might not end up being your favorite strategy. It's not my favorite. I think it's a good one. It's not my favorite, but it's still good to learn it, okay? So we're gonna start with the area model for dividing. Trying to look back here and see real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my notebook around so you can see my notebook and we will get started. So turn in your notebook to a nice fresh page. You should already have the notes in front of you. It should be division using the area model. I'm gonna be referring to these notes during the video, so make sure you have them. It's a good reference for you to look back at because it has the steps listed down. I'm not gonna list the steps because you already have it in your notes, okay? So let's get started. Let me turn my notebook so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so go ahead and title your page Dividing Using Area Model. And today is 10:30. Tomorrow is Halloween. All right, so the first problem that we are going to do, this first one, I just want you to watch how I'm doing it. Of course, copy it down in your notebook so you have all of the problems, but I want you to watch, okay, so you can understand the process. Listen to the things that I'm saying because I'm going to be thinking out loud as I do the problem. So our first one is 756 divided by 5. And just like in our area model multiplication, this area model for division is also going to be using the box. So I'm going to draw out my box. Since I've got 3 digits that I am dividing, I'm going to split this into 3 sections. And then in your notes, it says, step 1, write the divisor on the left of the box. The divisor is the number you are dividing by. So 5 is my divisor. Then step 2 says write out the multiples of the divisor 1 through 10. So that means I'm going to list out my tic-tac-toe for my 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and I'm going to add 50 on here because I want to list out all of my multiples all the way through 10. So I've got 9 and then 10 here. Okay, then I'm going to put my dividend inside 756, the whole number inside this first box. So then step 3 says think, what number can I multiply the divisor by to get the total dividend without going over? So what that means is, what can I multiply 5 by to get as close to 756 as possible without going over? I'm going to show you how I can use these numbers to help me figure that out. So I'm really going to be looking at this first digit here. If this first number is larger than your divisor, then you're just going to look at one number. If this first number is smaller than your divisor, then you're going to look at the first 2 numbers. So since 7 is larger than 5, I'm just going to look at the 7. Okay, I'm going to add 3 lines up here. So I'm going to think to myself, 5 times what gets me as close to 7 as possible? Well, I know that 5 times 5 gets me 5. Whoops. I'm sorry, not 5 times 5. 5 times 1 gets me as close to 7 as possible. So to get as close to 756 as possible, I could multiply 5 times 100 and end up with 500. That's as close as I can get with this. I could have also used 50. So 5 times what gets me as close to 75 as possible? Well, 5 times 10, and then I would add another 0. Then I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6, 5 minus 0 is 5, and 7 minus 5 is 2. And then I'm going to take this 256 and pull it up here. And I'm going to do the same thing. Since this first number is smaller than my divisor, I'm going to look at these first 2 numbers. So now I'm going to think to myself, 5 times what gets me as close to 25 as possible? Well, I know that 5 times 5 gives me 25. So if I'm trying to get to 256, I would need to multiply by 50. So 5 times 50 would give me 250. Then I would subtract, and I would have 6 left over. And then I'm going to bring this 6 up here. Then I'm going to ask myself again, 5 times what gets me as close to 6 as possible without going over? My only possible option is 1. 5 times 1 gives me 5. When I subtract, I've got 1 left. Okay, I'm going to leave this 1 here for just a second, but I'm going to circle it. Now up here, I have to add all of my partial quotients together, just like we would add our partial products together. These are all partial quotients. So I'm going to take and combine them together, and that's going to give me my total quotient. So my quotient is 151. This right here, since it's left over and I have nothing left to divide, this is called a remainder. So I would put R1. So my quotient, 756 divided by 5, gives me 151 remainder 1. And that is dividing using area model. It's not too bad. It is a process you have to get used to. So let's keep going. If you need to watch this one again as I do it and then copy it down, that's fine. If you think you want to try it after I write down the problem, go ahead and pause the video and try. All right, here's our next one. 397 divided by 4. So I'm going to draw out my box. This is a 3-digit dividend. So I'm going to split my box into 3 sections. It tells me to write the divisor on the left of the box. I'm going to write my 397 inside. And then I'm going to do my tic-tac-toe for my 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. And then I'm going to put 40 down here. All right. So now I'm going to start trying to think. I'm looking here. This first digit is smaller than my divisor, so I'm going to look at these first 2 numbers. And I'm going to think to myself, 4 times what gets me as close to 39 as possible without going over? So if I look here, I see 36 and then I see 40. 4 times 10 is going to be too big because that would give me 40. So I'm going to have to use 4 times 9. And I'm going to add a 0 here. So I've got 1 number left. So I'm going to add that 0 there. So then 4 times 90 would give me 360. I added that 0 because I'm trying to get to 397 and not just 39. So I added a 0 there. And now I can subtract. 7 minus 0 gives me 7. 9 minus 6 gives me 3. 3 minus 3 gives me 0. So then I'm going to bring up my 37. And I'm going to do the same thing. 4 times what gets me as close to 37 as possible without going over? Well, I can use 9 again because I know that 4 times 9 gives me 36. So I'm going to put this 9 here. 4 times 9 gives me 36. And when I subtract, I have 1 left over. And I've got nothing left to divide. Hold on 1 second. I'm making sure I'm correct. Yeah, I've got nothing left to divide. So I'm going to combine these up here. So I've got 90 plus 9. So I've got 99. This would end up being my remainder. So I'd end up having remainder 1 for my answer. Okay, how are we doing? Not too bad. All right, here's the next one. This next one, I want you to try it. Try it, see how you do. If you get stuck, you can always unpause, but I want you to try this problem by yourself, okay? 685 divided by 6. So go ahead, pause the video, and get started on the problem. All right, hopefully you paused it. Now you're back and you're ready to check to see if your answer is correct. So I'm gonna take my dividend. I've got 3 boxes. I've got 3 digits, so I'm gonna split it into 3 boxes. My divisor goes on the left. And then my 685 goes in the first box. And then I'm gonna make my tic-tac-toe or my 6s. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, and 60. Then I'm gonna get started. Since these are the same number, I can just use this first one because it's not smaller. So 6 times what number is gonna get me as close to 6 as possible? Well, I know that 6 times 1 gives me 6. So 6 times 100 would give me 600. That's as close to 685 as I can get without going over for now. Then I'm going to subtract, and I end up with 85. So I'm going to pull this 85 up, and then I'm going to start again. I'm just going to use this first digit here since the 8 is larger than the 6. So 6 times what gets me as close to 8 as possible without going over? Well, I know that 6 times 10 gives me 60. So I'm going to put 10 here. So 6 times 10 gives me 60. Then I can subtract, and I'm going to end up with 25. I'm going to bring my 25 up, and I'm going to start again. 6 times what gets me as close to 25 as possible? Well, I know that 6 times 4 is 24. So I'm going to put my 4 here. 6 times 4 gives me 24. And then when I subtract, I've got 1 left. This number here is going to be my remainder. So then I just need to add everything up. All of my partial quotient. 100 plus 10 plus 4 would give me 114. I can't forget my remainder. Remainder 1. So my quotient for this number, or for this problem, is 114, remainder 1. How'd you do? Did you get it? Hopefully you did. All right, I'm going to turn the page because I ran out of space, and we're going to do one more problem. Again, I want you to pause the video and try this problem by yourself, okay? 981 divided by 3. All right, go ahead and pause and try it. All right, you're back. Hopefully you tried the problem and you're ready to check your answer. So I made my box. I've got 3 digits. So I am putting 3 boxes. If this number had 4 digits, which we will eventually get to, then I would put another box here. But I only am dividing a 3-digit number, so I only need 3 boxes. My divisor goes on the outside. My dividend goes on the inside. I'm going to put my lines up here. And then I'm going to make my tic-tac-toe for my 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. All right, now I can get started. This number is larger than my divisor, so I'm going to think 3 times what is going to get me as close to 9 as possible. So I know that 3 times 3 gives me 9. So I'm going to put a 3 up here. And to get to 981, I would need to multiply this by 300 and not just 3. So then 3 times 3 gives me 9 plus my 2 zeros. Then when I subtract, I have 81 left. So I'm going to bring up my 81. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to focus just on this first digit here. 3 times what is going to get me as close to 8 as possible without going over? Well, I know that 3 times 3 is too big because that gives me 9. So I'm going to have to drop down 1. So 3 times 2 would give me 6. And to try and get to that 81, I would need to add that 0 there. So 3 times 20 would give me 60. And then I'm going to subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. 8 minus 6 is 2. Then I'm going to bring up my 21. I'm going to start again. 3 times what is going to get me as close to 21 as possible without going over? Well, I know that 3 times 7 gives me exactly 21. So in this case, I have 0 as my remainder. So then I'm going to take all of my partial quotients, 327, and now you know you can probably add these together in your head, which is totally fine, and end up with 327 as my quotient. Okay, and there you have it. That is multiplying a 3-digit number. I'm sorry, not multiplying. Dividing a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number using area model. So hopefully that went well for you. If you need more practice, you can make up your own problems in your journal and continue working. Continue checking, continue doing this process. Use your notes, use the notes that I just gave you, rewatch the video, but you can make up your own problems and keep practicing if you don't have it down yet, okay? So here's my challenge problem to you guys before I sign off and see you guys in tomorrow's video. So I'm gonna show you the challenge problem. All right. Oh, can you see it? Okay. Mrs. Rosales has 345 books on her bookshelf. She has to pack her books up to move. She puts her books into 5 containers. Each container has the same amount of books. How many books go in each container? So, good luck. Hopefully you get all your work done, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. I hope you're doing well. I hope the dress up week is going well. Today is bring a stuffy. Tomorrow is you get to wear your costume. Please make sure your costume is school appropriate, so nothing bloody, gory, no mask, no inflatable costumes, all of those things, okay? I hope you guys have fun tomorrow. I'll say all this again in tomorrow's video, but have fun tomorrow and get all your work done today. I want to see when I come back that you guys are able to multiply a 2-digit number by a 2-digit number and are able to divide a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number. So rewatch this video as many times as you need to be able to do well with this skill. Okay? I'll see you guys tomorrow.